we all know LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
It was like the social media that dad was on,
Yeah.
and he was connecting and adding people. And over the last year, it has just drastically become more of a social platform. I mean, with so many different ways. Gen Z is actually flocking to LinkedIn.
Hi, I'm Josh Owen. As the owner of a video marketing company in New Orleans, I've been on the quest to learn everything I can about marketing. Everyone has a different style, different strategy, and a different experience. Is there a wrong way to do it? A right way to do it? Let's find out together as we make marketing make sense. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a fantastic episode of Make Marketing Make Sense. Today I'm joined with Gibran, Nassif, the social media guru and consultant we brought in today to talk about experimenting with your marketing in 2024 and why you should be doing it more and more. Thanks for joining in, man.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's an awesome place.
Yeah, well, we try to make it awesome for our awesome guests like you.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah. It's going to be a good conversation.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, conversation away.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Why? All right. Well, two things. One, what is experimenting? When you say experiment with your, marketing on social media, like what does that mean? And then two, why do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Well, I'll first start that, social media is always changing, right? I mean, by the week, there's algorithm updates that we don't know about, but maybe we'll see an article later on, 2 months later, that things have shifted from Instagram to LinkedIn, or popularity of platforms, or platforms that are kind of changing and shifting, like X, formerly Twitter. It's kind of weird saying that whole thing now, but when it comes to experimenting, I've noticed the success, being successful in social media, you have to take risks and experiment with the type of content you're delivering. And this it really depends on the type of platforms you're trying to pursue. But I've noticed with my experience over this past year, and I think it's going to continue to grow, is LinkedIn. So I know we've talked about this before, how LinkedIn's really just shifting to, and it's favoring content creators. You can become a LinkedIn voice now in your niche. So you can be a video voice or a social media voice. And now LinkedIn's pushing these types of these types of resources, for people to become content creators, besides the company part as well. And I've noticed that a lot on, when you're starting a social media campaign, you need to really think about your audience, your voice, your tone and messaging. Of course, that's like the basic stuff. But to me, sometimes I kind of put that to the side and really just experiment. As long as it, it targets the audience, relates to the audience, it's usually been successful with the social media consulting I've done, or for the company I work for, and just taking those risks. And really this past year, 2023 into 24, I took a lot of risks with the company because there was a lot of great articles being shared, but how do you kind of repurpose that content? There was a lot of great video content that was just sitting on YouTube. Why is this not on LinkedIn? Why is this not on Instagram? Let's take this into short form video and experiment to see, if people are going to like it, they're going to relate to it. And it worked, basically. So that's kind of like the short answer to experimenting you can experiment with content pieces, and then the type of content you're delivering on, these different social platforms.
Yeah, wow, well said, in the sense that I was like, all right, I'm going to ask this question. He's like, well, and then you just naturally transition to the question I was going to ask. So, no, that's perfect. And you mentioned LinkedIn, which is very interesting, because a lot of people use LinkedIn just for connections, networking, sales, but you're saying it could be a great platform to be posting and sharing content as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a great transition into what I was going to talk about. I mean, LinkedIn, we all know LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
It was like the social media that dad was on, and he was connecting and, adding people, and it was just a job searching site and then connections. But I would say over the last year, it has just drastically become more of a social platform. I mean, with so many different ways. There's even some articles from Variety and TechCrunch how Gen Z is actually flocking to LinkedIn, which is we can't forget about Gen Z. They're the ones that are really kind of they're the top content creators, right? And we're kind of learning from them. So for them to be going to LinkedIn and utilizing this platform and posting that content they're posting on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, there's really no limits, I've noticed. And this could be, I think companies and even individuals, like as people, there's a big thing with coaching, right? Virtual coaching.
Oh, yeah.
It's all over the place, I mean,
Dude,
it's
so
beyond
much.
Tony. It's
Yeah,
crazy. I mean,
everybody's coaching.
Yeah.
You're a coach. I'm a coach. I'm getting coached up
Yeah.
left and right. I'm like, what the god dang? Everybody's got it.
yeah. So, I mean, there's different angles of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There's the company side, but also that company shouldn't be afraid to like just promote fun content,
Yeah.
engaging content that was being shared maybe on Instagram or TikTok only. So I would say, yeah, LinkedIn's changed. You have LinkedIn Live now, which you can actually integrate from Zoom or a webinar and put it on your LinkedIn page. There's also LinkedIn Live Audio, which is basically, remember Clubhouse? Clubhouse is still around, but
what is it? Is it really?
it's still around somehow.
Man,
but
I
it's,
thought that was a pandemic.
It was.
Pandemic in, pandemic out.
You could say it was.
Yeah.
It's still around, but LinkedIn Live Audio is like a Clubhouse, but way better.
Wow.
So what's cool about LinkedIn Audio Live, it's a great audience builder. So you can be, your company can host it and you can have speakers. What's great about it, when those speakers join that LinkedIn Live Audio event, it notifies all of their following. So it is a huge audience builder for any type of company, from tech to realtor to, and you'll see a lot of LinkedIn Live Audio events across the world. And it's great. It's, if people are afraid to be on camera, they can just do this audio chat, just like you kind of would see in Clubhouse. People can ask comments, interact with each other. So we started to implement, or any consulting I do or companies I'm working for, hey, start these LinkedIn Live Audio events with your thought leaders and kind of build that interactive audience engagement tactic so people can really learn about what the company, what you do, what your products are, your services, whatever you're trying to, promote on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, that's a feature people aren't talking about at all.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
it's growing fast too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and it's not fading away. It's fun. People are, and then they're adding more updates and integrations. So for example, if you have a webinar to promote whatever service or product, you can also integrate that into LinkedIn Live, where it's actual video, but it's just mirroring onto LinkedIn Live, just like you see on, like, if you stream live on Facebook or Twitch or something like that. So.
Yeah, that's wild. Like on LinkedIn, are you trying to, because I know LinkedIn's very personal. Do you try and post more on the personal side of things, like like whether it is for a client, like on their personal page versus on their company page? You try and do a little bit of both. Like where's the line there? Because I know a lot of people focus more on individuals, but I don't know. What have you noticed?
Yeah, I do a little bit of both. I've noticed, funny enough, the company I work for right now, we already had about 30,000 followers when I first joined. So that's a good amount of followers for a LinkedIn company page, but they weren't engaging with that content. So I sat down, looked at strategies. How do I, create engaging, compelling content? What's missing? And I noticed a big thing missing was just videos in general. And there was huge libraries of videos and content on YouTube. So I started cutting up those videos, making them short form, maybe 1x1 format, or kind of maybe added vertical format as well, kind of experimented with that. And I started noticing a huge engagement and just likes, reposts, and just people engaging with the content. I was like, finally, this is working. So I kind of infused that with the normal content the company likes to do, webinars, articles. And then we have, the company owns trade shows as well. So there's lots of trade shows. So how do we make, so anything from a flyer, I was just animating it, making it some type of video. So when you're just scrolling on the LinkedIn carousel on the feed, it's just, everything's animated and looks great.
Yeah.
Another thing too was also looking at competitors. So what are these competitors doing and how do I implement their strategies and make it better?
Yeah.
What is something they didn't do? I can add to our mix and make it better when we're promoting content on LinkedIn. So yeah.
Wow, that's wild. So you're just going in there completely, I love that you're reviewing other, competitors' content, but you're also seeing, because I guess, and you mentioned on the company side, you're doing a lot of that. Do you also do you think like posting your own personalized social media content on your own personal LinkedIn page? Like what should go there? Do you notice that, is that important too? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So being an employee and representing your company on social media, especially LinkedIn, is still a big thing. So I like to have, we have different applications at the job I'm at right now where we have this bonus system. So I give them points if they share something on social media.
Oh,
We kind of
wow.
build
You
it.
give them like gold star over there. Yeah,
and then
all right.
they can use those points at like Amazon, Lululemon, like any
Yeah.
kind of, there's like
Oh,
different
wow.
stores. So we started this program, but I think the employees should share the content of the
Yeah.
company on LinkedIn because it just spreads awareness. It's a great audience builder as well. And then we're the AV industry. So VIX is the name of the company, Audio Visual Integrated Experiences Association. So we represent the pro audio visual.
Wow.
So for example, we have like Canon at our trade show. We have
Yeah.
Shure at our trade show selling,
wow.
all their
All right,
newest
all right, what else we
equipment.
got around here?
Yeah, right. Let's look
Yeah.
around. But for example, there's so much to talk about in AV.
Yeah.
So we also share just like news,
Yeah.
breaking news in the audiovisual industry. So last July, when the Sphere in Las Vegas was first
Oh, yeah,
revealed,
yeah.
it was a huge moment, an opportunity I seized because, this is what the Sphere is what pro AV is, pro audiovisual. Like
Yeah.
everything they used to build it, immersive,
Oh,
spatial
man.
audio.
Yeah.
2.8 million.
That's like there's like pro and
LEDs.
then they're like double pro. You
Oh,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
It's
So
like,
I just took it on social media. That it was like 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
And that really just exploded on our social media
Yeah.
pages, on the company pages, because it represents the industry. And it actually was finally a gateway for people to understand what Pro AV
Yeah.
is. Even like my family is like, "What do you do again? Like, what's your company again?" I was like, "This is what
Yeah.
it is." I sent them a video of the Sphere. It's
Yeah.
like, this is what we do basically.
Yeah.
So it's also being in the moment of those breaking news,
Yeah.
like breaking news basically for any type of industry. So if
Yeah.
it's like cybersecurity, making sure you have a blog or some kind of resource for people to check out and learn what your company represents, what industry you're in. So at the same time, besides sharing content on LinkedIn or any other social platform on the company, I also share those breaking news moments like
Yeah.
the Sphere. There is the Aora, which was like the AI robot inside the Sphere
Oh,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
talks
yeah.
to you and just kind of
Yeah,
creepy,
yeah,
but
They can send like a message back home to your grandchildren or whatever.
yeah. It's almost like
Yeah.
iRobot when
Yeah.
you're watching
Yeah.
you're watching all that. But yeah, there's just like breaking news moments or just sharing, being a thought leader because we're the hub of the industry. So
Yeah.
showing that tone and messaging, and it's just unlimited the types of content we can share because we also share other people's content too. Obviously, credit them. So people out there, make sure to credit anything you find,
Yeah.
from
That's important.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Support it.
Yeah,
Support the
support the
video
creator,
guys.
you know?
Yeah, support the creator.
Yeah.
So there is just multiple types of content formats that were never being done that I added to the company page. But you're going back to the question with personal or company page, you should do both. And if you have employees, you should give them resources and assets, or even some training if you have time to teach them how to become a content creator. Get them a selfie light or a little lavalier mic and just show them some tips and tricks on how to do it. Because you never know, it could build a business relationship with that company. It could build, it's just the opportunities are endless, and that will happen because the more employees that do that, the more awareness you're spreading around.
Interesting.
When
Interesting.
from other businesses,
Yeah.
other employees at other businesses and so forth.
Because you're building multiple layers of personality that are spreading across.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely interesting. I'm always thinking about that and what are the how deep do you go? But it's like you're going all in on everything because you're here. I mean that's what we're talking about is experimenting. And so which I think the last thing I'm curious about when it comes to experimenting is how do you know or how do you do your best? Because obviously an experiment is an experiment. You don't know what's going to happen with it, but how do you do your best to make sure you're setting up those experiments for success?
Absolutely. It's going to go back to tools and resources and becoming. So before I got into social media, I've always been creating stuff. So I have a music industry background, kind of that artist background.
Piano,
so
right there.
yeah, I got a piano right here, a lot of music tattoos, drumming back in the day for a lot of bands. But what I learned from that, I kind of fell in love with graphic and video design, just because you had to. I mean, when I was in my first band in high school, going way back, if people know what MySpace was, I was managing the MySpace page for the band. So I started to have to make like banners and like flyers and stuff for our shows because people were still getting used to MySpace. So that was a moment right there where I kind of enjoyed doing it. The rest of the band's like, I hate doing this. I'm like, dude, I don't mind. I'm gonna do it. Let's check it out. I'll make a video or a graphic or whatever, you know. So going to that, I think it's important for business owners or if your business has a social media person or a content person, or if you're a content creator, entrepreneur, whatever, it's important to learn how to be a creator. So it's important to learn some basic graphic design skills, basic video design skills, Canva and CapCut to start. Those are the best tools I've always used. They always improve. Like there's CapCut Desktop now, and it's kind of like a mimic of Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. I mean, we have a video team at my company. They're like, what did you do this on? I was like, CapCut Desktop. They're like, what? The TikTok video editor? I was like, yeah, man, it's growing.
That's
you know?
all you got to do. That's wild.
Yeah, so I would start there, and then, or if you have more resources, teaching, going back to the employee advocacy thing, kind of showing them how to utilize these tools. Yeah. Because when you know how to do that, then you can create memes, then you can create fun pop culture references to your campaigns that relate to your niche and industry. So I think that's something that's been really successful with different campaigns and companies I've worked for.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what my next question about that is definitely you know, obviously you need the tools, but also what content, like, you know, we're looking at all this content, like it's like, is this, what content's going to be successful? I know there's like definitely like what you mentioned just there, like Gen Z stuff, you know, is it good to go down that avenue and explore with stuff that, you know, is popping off on TikTok and stuff like that? You know, where do you see those experiments leading? Sure.
I think it really, I would first, it's interesting because it's kind of going like the cross networking thing. So for example, there's something that would do really well on Instagram, for example. I was like, okay, let me wait another week or two and then post this on LinkedIn to see what happens. So I experimented that way and it always worked because the content did well. I would also like really, you wouldn't want to overdo the experiment where you're like doing a break dance off or something on a cybersecurity LinkedIn company page or something like that. Maybe that wouldn't make sense much. Who knows? You never know.
That might be the biggest hit.
You never know actually.
Yeah.
But kind of just like picking and choosing what would work, what would not. Yeah. But if something did well on a platform, for example, like if it was a YouTube video and it did really well, I always immediately found clips to repurpose and put it on LinkedIn because I know it did well already. So why not? That's going back to the repurposing and experimentation part of it. Because if it did well somewhere and if it reached, it communicated effectively with an audience on that specific platform, why not take it somewhere else on LinkedIn or Instagram and see how it does there? I would say 90% of the time it always worked.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I guess what I'm hearing from you, which I think is great, is you're suggesting almost in the sense of experimenting. The idea is almost more so experiment from the things you haven't done personally, but I'm sure there are people out there that have done stuff that you can take glimpses of it and see some of their successes and bring some of those successes back into your content and use that content to really bolster up what you're doing and, you know, experiment with, you know, because it's going to be an experiment for you because you haven't done it yet. Yeah. But, you know, or, you know, you haven't brought the experiment of success, you know, in one way, using it, repurposing and reutilizing that success into something completely different. So you're still using something new, but it's an experiment in a different platform in a different way. Yeah. And so almost like taking some successes and seeing the successes you've seen, use it, and then place it somewhere else. Yeah. I mean, it's even going to a great example with just like experimenting or just making like fun content and things like that. I mean, look at Duolingo, the language app, where they brought that mascot and it just exploded. I mean, it became the new Rosetta Stone, right? Yeah. So it was just that was a risk. It was experimenting, and then this mascot was all over the place. Yeah. And it was such a big. And another thing I do myself, and this could be for anyone listening or watching this, that to also follow other thought leaders in your industry. So on LinkedIn, on my personal LinkedIn page, I follow a lot of other social media men. We follow each other. Like I learned from she's a social media manager at American Eagle.
and I learn stuff about her all the time. She posts stuff every day about like things shifting, changing, what not to do, what to do. So it's almost that. There's also a learning area of LinkedIn. There's LinkedIn Learning now, which is a whole virtual course, different courses. But I also learned something every day, and I think that's something people should look into. I learn something every day. I spend 20 to 30 minutes every day learning something new in my industry or when it comes to social media. I think anyone else should do that when it comes to their marketing in that industry and looking up competitors, looking at resources or other social media managers or marketing people in that industry to kind of learn to see what's working, what's not, kind of compare and contrast.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, couldn't have said it better myself. I think, that's fantastic. I mean, I'm learning. I'm getting smarter every day just hearing from you guys coming on the show, and you especially, Gibran, amazing stuff.
No, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in and sharing your expertise here. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to start joining in on LinkedIn, these days.
Keep doing LinkedIn and stay on top of trends. I follow. There's lots of. There's just a lot. The resources are unlimited. There's so many resources you could look into to learn more things. So it's learning, experimenting, and staying on top of updates and changes. And I think that's your key ingredients, your formula for success.
Well, I mean, that's great. I mean, well, speaking of finding things on the internet, where can people find you on the internet so they can learn more of the things that you're out there preaching?
Yeah, absolutely. Just find me on LinkedIn. Just Gibran Nassif on LinkedIn. There's no one else with my name on there, which is pretty
wow,
awesome.
All right, the only one, the one and only.
One. Yeah, it's the only one.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sure there's a lot of Josh Owens out there.
Yeah, yeah. Just find me on LinkedIn, or if you just Google my name, my Instagram, and everything shows up. GNassif91 on Instagram. Yeah, let's connect. If you need any questions about trends or analysis or consulting, definitely, reach out. So.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Go check them out, and we'll see you all on the next one.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, man. Hell
yeah. That's good.
Boom. This has been Make Marketing Make Sense, brought to you by Comfystone. If you need video content for social media, your website, or email marketing, hit up Comfystone at comfystone.com and follow Comfystone on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.